he's he's letting go of stuff. You know, he's got more like you can see with the old people like there's more. They're like the light starts to shine through their eyes a bit with some of them. Some
Yeah.
get more like hardened. Do you know what I mean? And some start to like realize, oh shit, I'm gonna die. Like they start thinking about their death.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
you
The
know, and start
the end
letting
is
go of stuff.
the end is nigh and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
realization.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
mm.
so it was cool, man. I had some really cool conversations with him actually. Well, as a group of us, family, we talked about like death, and he talked about when he was younger and how he used a Ouija board once.
All right.
Story creeps me the fuck out. This story, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He with a group of friends. You explain how you do it. Have you done a Ouija board before?
Oh yeah. Years ago. Yeah.
Did you? Fucking hell. Did anything happen?
No.
No.
Not that I know of anyway, but
Good. You're lucky.
nothing happened while I was there. Just like no, nothing happened. But I've heard a
No.
couple of stories about them as well. Yeah, but you go first. And
Yeah. So this is my granddad's story, which I've heard a couple of times now. It freaks me out every time. Um, yeah, with a group of friends, and he said you put your like little pinky finger, I think it is, and they kind
mm,
of you'll put it on this one thing, and it moves it around.
yeah, yeah.
And they asked is anyone there, and it went spelled out YES yes,
Mm.
and I can't remember what he was asking it specifically. Um, he says how do we know that you're here? You know, or he said are you a spirit, and it says yes, and how do we know you're here? And it says, "I will ring a bell." You know,
Oh, right,
and so
okay.
they're all there, right, waiting for this spirit to like ring a doorbell or something. Uh, and they write back like, "We can't hear you. We haven't heard anything." And then it says, "Hell's bells," and then starts going crazy and flies off this thing. Like,
Yeah,
some spirit messing around, I think. You know.
yeah. There's a lot of yeah, there's a lot of stuff that likes to just fuck with people basically. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of shit that comes through them as well. A lot of like yeah, you want to keep away from because you're basically opening a doorway, and if you don't close it, it's always open and anything can come through. So that's why you got to be really careful with them. Um, yeah, but yeah, I used to work with a guy in the butchers at Morrison's years ago, and he'd said that he was from Wales. Um, and obviously Wales is like kind of very remote countryside, all that sort of stuff. So him and some friends always used to go to this sort of abandoned derelict building or whatever and just mess about when they were kids. And they used to always do Ouija boards. So yeah, so they used to go to this abandoned building and put a Ouija board, and they started making conversation. And this conversation, like sort of, it seemed to be the same thing that was speaking to every time. And this happened that they were doing this like multiple times. So they got up to this kind of like routine of conversation with whatever it was. And anyway, they asked like, "Oh, what's your name?" It said Nick. Obviously, another name for the devil is Nick. And they're like, "Well, we don't believe you. What's your real name?" And it was like, "Oh, Beelzebub." So it was just like something else that was like using all these sort of like satanic names, I suppose, that were coming through. And then it started like asking them questions, and saying like basically telling them what it wanted them to do, and it wanted this girl to stand on where they had the Ouija board. It wanted the girl to stand on the board, and anyway, they didn't. They just left it and didn't go back to it again. But yeah, so it was, and it was so yeah, so it was him. So I was probably about 18. It was him that went around his house. We tried it, but nothing happened. It was just like, yeah, whatever. So
Do you think is it like beings in the astral realm that are kind of interacting on that level, or
it's a mixture of things. It's whatever is like kind of present and near at the time. So it could be loved ones that are near to you that are coming through. But because it's a doorway, because you're basically creating a portal of energy to come through from wherever, then anything can like kind of just come through. So it can just be a mixture of anything. It can even be, sometimes it can actually be people that are benign, but they just want to fuck around with you because they're just like, oh, look at these suckers here. Like, so the will just kind of like mess about with you just to get a reaction. It's a bit like these people that go on ghost hunts, which, again, I've been on many ghost hunts before in the past. But some people go on them, and the the entities and the spirit that's there will just fuck with them. They'll just make them like, we'll just scare the crap out of them just for the sake of scaring the crap out of them, because they find it entertaining as well. So that it's just the same as us, they're just in a spiritual form. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that was my intuition when my granddad told me about that story. I was like, what, ringing hell's bells? It's such a
Mm.
cliche, weird thing to say, you know. And then I was like,
Yeah,
that's something like a poltergeisty kind of archetype would say, you know. And like you
Mm.
said, yeah, we like to do it here, like, don't we? Like, just fuck around with people. I used to do it with my siblings all the time. You know,
Mm.
like make them jump or whatever. It's just
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. It's like when you
It's funny.
when you're like kids or whatever, you have that sort of child like, it's like when you used as a kid, you used to like knock on people's doors and run away, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just like daft stuff like that, and they just do exactly the same with us. They're just messing around. Um, but yeah, so sometimes they're very benign and just let themselves know that they're around without any sort of assistance or aid or tools. And other times you can use those sorts of things. It's like the same with like seances and things like that. Usually you have sort of a sensitive or a gifted person that will open a seance and close the seance. But again, because you're creating an energy, the reason why you sit in a circle is because you're creating the portal for energy to come through.
Oh,
And every single person creates that, because what you visualize, whoever is leading the seance, they instruct the people to visualize a white light and see it going clockwise around the circle. So you see this white light, it's coming down, it's moving out your right hand, and then it goes all the way around the circle, comes in your left hand, and you just continue that circle of white light just for purity and protection. But that is also creating the vortex for spirit to either manifest and present, or to be able to move them on into that white light that we're all kind of like visualizing and seeing, so that the actual surge of energy of going round and round in the circle is what creates that vortex.
that makes a lot of sense. I never thought about that. I never thought about it like that. Yeah, of
Mm.
course. Yeah, of course. It's a circle, isn't it?
Mm.
A vortex, and
So when you look at a lot of things in life, um, there's always they're always circular. There's always a circular movement to it. It's like chakras move in a circle. Um, the planet moves in a circle. The solar
well,
system moves in a
yeah.
circle. And even things that grow, when you see how like nature grows and plants grow in a circle as they evolve. They move around and around, and they start to unwind and unwrap the leaves and grow outwards. Trees, circles of a tree, everything circles, circular. So circle, there's something about that circular energy that permeates all life, all natural forms.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and it circles up like consciousness. I always have this feeling of like our own kind of like karma or whatnot. Do you know? Well, time as well is
Mm,
circular,
yeah.
really, isn't it? It's not
Mm,
linear. You
mm,
look at like the yugas. Oh, I was watching a really interesting video, man, about from a woman. I can't remember what her name was now. She was some disciple of some famous guru, and just really nice, good teacher. She's a good teacher. She was talking about the yugas
mm.
and what yuga we're in. What yuga do you think we're in? Because I've heard like and which one do you think we're moving into? Because I've heard some people talk about us going straight into like Sat Yuga, into like golden age god kind of
I've never heard of that
consciousness,
expression before.
and some
Yuga.
people saying
I've
you've not
never
heard of
heard
yugas.
never heard of that
Oh,
expression.
you're in for a treat, man. Unfortunately, I can't lecture on them because I'm not really super well versed in them. But it's I think it's the Hindus talked about. Well, it definitely comes from India. The yugas. So as time goes, is in a circle, right? And
Mm,
it's a 26,000 year cycle.
right.
Yeah, and so you
Yeah.
got the golden age, the Sat Yuga,
Yeah.
first quarter, and then consciousness falls, and that's why all the stories, the fall of consciousness, whatever.
Ah, right.
You go
Okay.
from
So
being
it's
a God realization, like being able to manifest mental, yeah, with the mind or whatever,
mm,
and then it goes down into energy, and that's where they built the pyramids in the silver,
mm,
and then it goes down into the bronze, which is the fall,
mm,
where you still have people who retain this like knowledge, but they're kind of
mm,
like witches and people like that, and then you go into the Kali Yuga, which we're coming out of now, where
mm,
they'd like burn the witches, and very much that sacred knowledge was just translated through religions, which then got corrupted, and that's the age of materialism
mm.
that we're coming out of now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
apparently, she was saying we're going back into age of energy, which is why we started like we had the industrial revolution and whatnot, and people are realizing that we're all energy,
Mm,
and that's the collective paradigm that's starting to take a hold now, rather than it being like all material. We're starting to be like, oh no, like it's all vibrations and like
mm.
law of attraction and things like that. That's the collective kind of consciousness that's
That
moving into
makes
that.
that makes sense with the book I'm currently reading. I think I've mentioned this before by Diane Cooper, and it's called I think it's called The Golden Age. It's called, and what we're moving into, this golden age, and how the children being born now will be more kind of in tune, more like old souls, and they'll just know stuff, like, because they've been here that many times and incarnated that many times, that they have all this knowledge and wisdom that they're bringing through to create the golden age. And she says in her book that we'll be in fifth dimensional consciousness by, I think she said, I think it was 2052. I think around, I think it was 2052. So that's what she says in her book, and I'm just like, oh, that's interesting. But I haven't heard of the term yuga before, but I know of the 26,000 year cycles that we
Mm.
do go through. That it might have been in a different context or a different name that I'd heard it, but I have heard of that before. This sort of repeating cycle of the 26,000 years. Very interesting. Yeah. Mm,
It will be. It's the same truth in it, just
mm.
different
Yeah, yeah, just
different translation.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so it's been a while since I've done a video, isn't it? What, 2 weeks, couple of weeks?
Yeah,
Because
couple of weeks. Yeah,
you've been away. I've been busy. Yeah, been really busy. So yeah, it's good to catch up. And now, like a deep dive straight into. We don't talk about the weather. We don't talk about how warm it was, and did you get sand between your toes while you or whatever. We talk about the age of
the
consciousness,
yugas.
the yugas. Yeah, I wonder if that's where yoga comes from. I wonder if there's a reason why it's called yoga. I wonder if there's a connection there somewhere.
Probably, probably. I think yoga means union, doesn't it?
Mm,
Yoga. Um,
mm,
yeah. Is it Sanskrit, the word yoga?
mm. Yeah, yoga and uh yeah, nidra, yoga nidra, because that's like dream, nidra, dream. Because I've been listening to
Dream.
yeah, I've been listening to a lot of them lately. And I actually made one on my channel, Yoga Nidra meditation. It's like to get you like really deeply into a nice relaxed sleep state to dream, and feel refreshed. Mm.
Yes, it says here, yeah. It's for the word yoga is derived from Sanskrit root yu, which means join or to yoke, to unite. Yeah.
Mm.
Union.
Yeah. Because that's all to do with chakra energy as well. So actually, it's funny we should talk about yoga because as I was brushing my teeth this just randomly happens. As I was brushing my teeth this morning, I got this sort of like message came through all about yoga. And the message was basically talk about the shapes. And the reason why we have the shapes is to kind of open that part of the body, which again is like creating the vortex, the portal for that energy to move out of the body, to go into like the auric field and repair whatever damage needs to be done in the auric field as well. And that's why there's a Kundalini yoga meditation where, and I watched Russell Brand do it ages and ages ago. And you sort of like put your arms out like really, really hard and fast, but you open your chest at the same time. And that's said to open like your heart chakra to connect deeper to that center as well. But yeah, I mean, some of the shapes that you see in yogi, like, well, what's that got to do with that? But yeah, some of them are quite bizarre. But then, like, the whole sitting cross-legged thing, that's very much to do with like your grounding energy. Because I know when I've like sat cross-legged, not that I do that much because I'm not very flexible down there, but when I have, you can almost feel like it's almost like an opening of your energy body, like like the base of like at the base of your spine. You can almost like feel it. And then I was thinking, I wonder if this is why they always sit cross-legged, because it really connects you like doomph, like really down into the ground. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say you're onto something. You're not the only one who can't cross their legs, by the way, man. I've never been able. I can't sit cross-legged. I should probably practice, and get more flexible. But whenever I meditate, I just sit.
Yeah, I
How do
just
I
tend to
sit?
sit.
I sit on a cushion. Yeah, I sit on a cushion under my butt, against my back, and I just sit like that. It's the most comfortable position for me. I've actually started. See, I wouldn't even quite call it meditation. I guess it is medication, medication, same thing. I yeah, I've been doing it the past probably this past week actually. I don't know why. Something's just kind of pulled me into doing it again. Just sitting every morning, just kind of waking up, and as the mind just starts whirring, go and sit first thing. And I've found it to be. I forgot how good it is. I forgot how like just it sets the tone for the whole day. It's
Yeah.
really it's a powerful thing to do. Just sit and just be and just
And it's so
yeah.
easy to like lose track of that. It's so easy to just let it slip. Like you can miss it a day or two, and you can usually get back into it fairly easy. But if you leave it for like a week, it's so easy for that to just fall away. And people like they just fill that time with something else. So they just create that busyness so they don't have to do that. That they make an excuse to do something else rather than focus on themselves and give themselves that time that they need to just nurture the being. Yeah, and I'm guilty of it as well. Sometimes I've just like not given myself that time. And this last sort of week, probably about the same length of time as you, probably this last sort of week, I've really focused more on just self Reiki and meditation. because I've had more time to do it really, because the week before last I was working more hours because my boss was off, so I was covering her shifts. So that week I was just wiped out, absolutely wiped out. So this week I've got a bit more space in my week, so it's given me a chance to actually do that and start off my day with that gentle mindset. And it's funny, it's like self Reiki. Whenever I give myself Reiki, and I know a lot of practitioners are the same, they never really feel anything. It's just like when you're giving Reiki to someone else, you can sometimes have so many other sensations that are happening that you're aware of. Give Reiki to yourself, and I don't feel anything other than the heat of my hands and just a gentle calmness across the whole body. And that's it. But that's enough. That's enough really. But I must admit, when I do finish the session, where I probably wasn't like stressed or tense or anything like that, but I was probably maybe just like here somewhere in the middle somewhere, with your mind just thinking away of different things. But then by the end of it, it's gone from that to just like, and it's just everything's just subsided to just a natural, gentle flow. So like so powerful.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. As I was saying, I don't do anything. I like you what when you do Reiki. I guess you kind of what put like energy into your hands, kind of thing.
Mm.
Get your hands like warm or whatnot, and move it down. Yeah. One thing I've been looking into though, talking about yoga, is Kriya yoga. Is something that's been brought to my attention, and I'm still not really sure what it is.
Mm.
You know, um, but it's something that's kind of
Create
come into
yoga.
yeah, Kriya yoga, yeah.
How's that spelled?
With a K and an R and a Y and an A,
Oh.
I think, or an I. Kriya.
Mm.
I'm not too sure, and I can't even remember why it kind of came into my awareness. I just kind of had a feeling of wanted to look it up, whether I saw it on a video
Mm.
or something. But starting now, I think, yeah, I want to start to do more of those, like feminine practices.
Mm.
Energy,
Mm.
working with energy, because the masculine one of kind of discernment and self-inquiry, I've been doing that for like a long time, and
Mm.
I want to kind of, don't know, it feels like, yeah, almost like a balancing wants to
Yeah, yeah,
happen,
yeah.
getting to do some like yoga or, um, yeah, breathing exercises or
Just
something like
I'll
that.
try doing some qigong or tai chi or something like that. It's very similar.
Oh,
Qigong is like, if you look on YouTube, look for the eight. I think it's called eight brocades or eight. Oh, eight. What's it called again? Let me just
qigong,
yeah, it's like Qigong.
8 qigong
Is it
brocades.
brocades? I think it is.
Yeah,
Um,
strengthen your organs and health. Yeah, so this is all so new for me, like this qigong and yoga. I've just no, it's not that it bores me. I just don't. I think I would have done yoga if I wanted to find kind of like an inner peace or an inner stillness. Because but I've done so much like
yeah.
shadow work and healing and everything. That's kind of just happened naturally. The mind slows down.
Look for
Um,
um.
but I
Oh
want to get into
no,
some
hang on.
feminine stuff.
Look for that one where it's got the little old Chinese lady on the video.
Love it.
That is a really really good one. That's lovely. That one.
Oh,
It's easy. It's nice to follow. It's not strenuous or anything, but you can really feel the energy flow through the body when you get into it. It's really nice.
yeah, you'll have to send it to me, man. I can't find it. There's a lot of
Yeah,
Chinese people in
yeah,
these videos.
yeah.
Find
Yeah.
the one, the Qigong video with the little Chinese woman on
It
the.
used to always come
Um,
top of my like my feed, whenever I look for qigong, she was always the first one on there. Um, I'll make a note of that. Just to,
Is her name Mimi?
oh, I don't know. I really
All
don't
right.
know.
Yeah, please, send it me
Yeah,
if you have a
I'll
moment later.
yeah, I'll send it over.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really nice. And um, you feel that surge of energy internally, all from like the breath and the movement, and placing your like awareness in when you're making the movement, placing that awareness like in the hands, but also like in the breath. So your breath is kind of like uh, channeling the energy outwards. It's really, really nice, really wonderful way of working. So you'll probably start doing that with the energy work, and then open the floodgates for other things you need to need to be aware of. You're like, why did I do this?
Send me back into the dark night of the soul. It's
Yeah.
straight, kick me straight back down to hell. Get back down there, son. You're not
Start
done.
start ringing them bells while you're there.
Yeah, yeah. The hell's bells.
So what's new? Anything new? Anything on the horizon? Anything been sort of crossing over in your mind lately that you've been thinking about? Any realizations?
Oh, yeah. Let me get my book. Let's have a little flip through.
We may be here for some time.
Nah, there's just
Page
little
312.
little scrawlings. Oh, I mean, here's a nice insight, right? Um, so I got recently. So I was speaking to my mentor about the mind just always wanting to look to put a structure on realities. You know, it needs to have a framework of what's going on, this and that, and it all links back to knowing things. Or like,
Mm,
I want to know this. I want to know what's going on. You know, is the earth flat? Like, are there planes below? All these kind of questions, which is not to say they're not legit and good questions or whatnot. But during day to day, unless I want to like focus on those things, I don't need those kind of coming up in my mind. Um, so you said kind of okay, well, you know, ask yourself, well, you know, what does it want? You know, what is the mind looking for when it's trying to put a framework on reality? Because this is infinite freedom, is what this is.
mm,
The absolute infinite creation and is what we are. We're infinite consciousness. What is the mind trying to like put a framework around? Why is it trying to do that? And the first thing when I sat with that was like safety, and then straight after safety came love. You know, that's what it wants.
mm,
But the first thing, the interesting thing is the link between safety and love. You know, we
mm,
think we want safety is the first thing. I just want to be safe. I just want to be okay. I just want to be safe. Obviously, it comes from like when you're a kid and whatnot, and maybe you weren't safe. But actually, even deeper, it just wants love.
mm,
You know, it just wants love. And because I've kind of come to the realization of this is what consciousness is. It is infinite love. Like
mm,
with this, what we are. It is our nature, which is why you can heal and by putting attention on the inner body. Do you know? Because that is unconditional love. That's what attention is.
mm,
You know, it's the way consciousness is. Like in its purest form is infinite unconditional love. Um, so my job as unconditional love was just to become aware of that. Every time the mind is trying to framework on reality of this, or even you know label things. These are glasses. This is a headband. This is a wallet. You know, every time it tries to put labels on it, just know it's looking for love.
mm,
Um, and that was a big, yeah, aha moment for me. Ah, yeah,
mm,
it's not safety it's looking for because there's no safety, man. Like we're all like, well, we're infinite, is what we are. Our true nature, the awareness, the consciousness that we are is infinite. But these,
mm,
you know, these bodies, these forms that we're in, everything in this world is gonna die. You know,
mm,
there's no safety in it, but it is made up of love.
Yeah.
infinite love. So I'd say, yeah, that's probably the biggest one. And then from that, since then, because then this is the thing, like when the reason people get like downloads and this information becomes clear to beings is because the space in the energy field, like
Mm.
is like the mind goes quiet. So I'm sure when you get like downloads and things like that, it's random when you're doing the washing up or something because you're not thinking,
Mm.
you're just there, you're present, feeling the bubbles against your fingers, and then you'll just get a realization or a download of whatever your soul had been searching for, the answer kind of just drops in, doesn't it? Becomes
Mm.
apparent. You're like, oh yeah, you know it's true and you feel it true. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much what I've got. I'm looking here as well, but I've just drawn the classic prism. Like the white light going into the prism, and
Yeah.
and yeah, it's all the same symbology, and I can't. There's no point really. These aren't things you can talk about, accurately. You kind of just see them in images,
Mm.
and but just that the pure white light going into the prism, and then this is the spectrum of all the colors, and then within that obviously we've got the duality, the atoms, the red shift and blue shift. Um yeah and I just realized how this world is, I mean, maybe it sounds a bit morbid, but yeah, it's been destroyed. God is come in this era like to destroy. There's a destruction going on.
Mm.
All of which is not true is going to get destroyed, which is why we're seeing our systems crumble and everything and whatnot. But it ultimately is what we want, right? It's like when you can see we see destruction as like a bad thing, but really it's not. It's an absolute service. Like if you've got like an old pattern from trauma that like is making you suffer,
Mm.
you'd love it to be destroyed and melted into peace. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so,
Absolutely.
that's all I just got from that. That was just
It's the same
just
analogy. It's exactly the same analogy, isn't it? As when you kind of like just become more spiritually aware because you've gone through so much. Usually, you've gone through so much hardship that you've gone totally rock bottom, and it's that pressure of everything. And it's a bit like, you know, it's a bit like the metaphor of, creating a diamond. It needs to have that much pressure before you can create a diamond. And that light, that light internally that you're looking for, you only find it really when you have that much pressure that you need to look for something else to come out of this. Where's it taken me? And that's usually when all this um inner inner light starts to shine through, and you start to be more aware of things that are going on in your reality. It always comes back to that light, that we all have, we all emit. We are all born of that light and of that one consciousness that so many of us talk about. I was just watching a video on Instagram. I think it was this morning or yesterday, and it was a Reiki guy called Franz Steiner, and he's written a few books about Reiki, and he teaches all over the world. And he was talking about how it was like kind of like a cloudy day on this video, and and he said sometimes our minds are very cloudy, the thoughts are there, and you just want to get rid of the thoughts so you can like have this nice just light, and then you look out the window and the clouds move away and that sun shines through. But he said the sun has always been there. It's only the clouds that have covered it up. And it's through just being that, and knowing that that is always there. It's always present. It's only the physical, the perception, the ego, the mind, the feelings that arise, usually negative stuff that arises, that creates that veil of cloud, of darkness, of void. And it's just trying to punch you through that, to be able to witness, the light that we actually do hold. And a lot of people might sort of want to look for that light as in something that they've achieved in life, like a physical thing. like that they can say, oh well, I'm this, or I have that big car, or I have that much money. Or in actual fact, that's all like kind of like irrelevant. You have to go beyond that a little bit further to go deeper within to find the true essence of who you really are.
Mm,
You're not the physical, you're not the belongings or the possessions, and it's always there.
mm.
So I just thought it was a really really lovely video that you shared. And it's yeah, it's so true what he was saying. That light is always there. Just because the cloud's there doesn't mean that the sun isn't already shining.
Yeah, of course, of course. And I love what, yeah, you said about the negative emotions. That reminded me of the other thing that I did share on my Instagram actually, related about languages Instagram about
Oh,
negative.
negate. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've not made the link before. I was like,
Mm,
oh, because in well, Spanish, Italian. In Spanish, let's say negar is to deny.
mm,
Yeah, negar is to negate, root
mm,
word from Latin, right? I was like, oh yeah, because the negative emotions are just emotions we've negated and we've like
mm.
denied them,
Like
and then we
ignored. Yeah.
exactly, oh, not that's bad, you know.
Mm,
Oh, don't want
mm,
to feel angry. I'm gonna stuff that down there,
mm,
you know. And then we because we give it that energy, we polarize it, you know.
mm,
That is bad. Even the word negative, we think, oh, negative is, negative. The mind sorts that out. Negative,
mm.
bad. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't mean that. Negative
Mm,
and positive are just the opposites. It's the binary of the
mm.
of
Yeah.
this reality. It's how we interact.
Mm, yeah.
Um, yeah. So that was another thing that came to me this week. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Well, I'm negating. So anything negative, it's because I'm negating it. Wow.
Mm,
Yeah. Just bring it in. You've got to just bring it
mm.
in, and
Yeah.
that's the
Look.
shadow work. That's the integration. Um,
Yeah. And I did a video like a while back on my channel, and it was about like um cleansing and protection and the various ways we can like cleanse and protect our energy. And a couple of people got in touch, like, because I was talking about like how sometimes negative energy can like kind of attach you to you from like other people. So if other people are feeling like low and you're feeling really good, usually by the end of the day, if you're with them all day, you will feel really low and they will feel really good, because it's this byplay of energy. And a few people didn't agree with me, and they said, well, there's no such thing as negative energy. So on that side of things of what we just explained, that is true. However, there is also negative energy that does affect us every single day.
well, they've fallen into the trap there of saying negative is bad because that's
Mm,
what their minds understood. And you said, yeah, negative energy.
mm,
They said, oh, there's no such thing as bad energy because everything is energy, and you know. But
mm,
actually, if you were to say there's no such thing as bad energy, like correct for sure. However, yeah,
mm.
of course, there's low. It's just science, man. Like
Yeah,
there's
there's
low
low
frequencies.
frequency
There's
energy.
low waves going like this. Like
Mm,
when you're doing something you don't enjoy, you're
mm.
like, oh my god, looking at it. Oh my gosh, 5 minutes have gone by. I was like an hour. It's because you're vibrating at slow rate.
That
You
felt
know,
like that was like work yesterday. Just like, oh my
yeah,
God, this
exactly.
is a long day.
Exactly. What is a long day? Long day is when you're just low. Your frequency is
You're in
just
that
low.
low, yeah, and you're just dragging yourself through. And it's like we've used the analogy many times before, where you feel like you're just walking through glue, because it just feels like you're just dragging your feet in the whole day, and you feel so heavy because you're just filled with this
Yeah,
low frequency and negative energy. So yeah, so yeah.
exactly. And then the opposite obviously is the high frequency, right? We
Mm,
are going vibrating high like time like this, this conversation. It's felt like 5 minutes, right? We've been chatting for
mm.
nearly 40. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I know, yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
It's because we're vibrating on a higher
Mm,
frequency. Um, yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. So yeah, there is such thing as positive and negative, but
mm,
and this is also, in my opinion, it's the difference between discernment and judgment. Discernment is like you said, knowing, okay, that person is a low frequency. Do I want to be spending all my time with them?
mm,
That's discernment. Judgment is saying they're a low frequency, they've not done their shadow work, I'm
mm,
better than them, da, 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 da. You're what you're doing is you're actually polarizing
mm.
the energy.
Yeah.
You're giving that more energy with
Mm,
your with your thoughts.
yeah.
um yeah, yeah, fascinating. It's
Yeah.
also fascinating. Yeah, binary for sure, but then the layer that the ego puts onto that, um
You can
which is all
also
imagined, right? But mm,
you can also kind of that you were saying there, where you're sort of like you're judging the people rather than using discernment about the situation. You're judging, and them actually gives that negative energy more fire to produce more, to bring them even further down, because then they create the reaction, and then does the reaction come from you? Do you fall into that circle like we were talking before? Do you fall into that circle, that cycle of point, shame, blame, or do you just free yourself from it, and and just use that discernment, use it skillfully, use it with in a mindful manner, I suppose. Use your words
mm,
mindfully rather than
yeah,
just kind of blare, just throwing something at
mm,
someone.
yeah. Well, my intuition on it is that the ego is not capable of that, of discerning without judging. Do you
Mm,
know?
mm,
And the soul is. So I think you know when you're operating more on like a soul level, when you can discern, but instead of projecting, because you have
mm,
the if you've got some like you know trauma or whatever that's reacting to it, or some bruises. One Christian guy who's lovely, very very heart centered guy. He used to talk to me about bruises. He's like, we've all got bruises, do you know? We've all got bruises. Some people like poke the bruises, and you need to just be aware of like they're your bruises. It's not the
mm,
person who's poked them because they're not doing it on purpose.
mm,
Very sweet way of explaining. Um, so I think yeah, the ego can't doesn't have the ability to discern without judging, but the soul does.
mm,
But in order to operate on more of a soul level of consciousness, you have to reclaim the projections of the mind,
mm,
and be like, okay, I'm walking on the street and I see an overweight person, or I see a fat person. That's discernment. Okay, I can see that they're like big. Then the mind comes in and says, "Oh, they're disgusting," or what? Da, 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 da. This is one of the projections my mind had before, about people, until I reclaimed it and realized, oh, actually, it's my judging, it's my lack of love, which the ego's lack of love because it has none. But I need to like look at those shadows myself. Do you
mm,
know? So it doesn't take away your ability to discern,
mm.
but it takes away the emotional charge of the judgment. I feel,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah, and
definitely.
you live a lot more peacefully as well. Like
Mm.
the ego is not at peace ever. Like it's the definition
No,
of
yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like always looking for peace, but
It's yeah, and it's always there chirping away in the background, like trying to rattle a cage or some some sort, isn't it?
yeah, that's a nice way of looking at it though. Because if you can see it like that, it's rattling the cage. But it wants your love ultimately. If you
Mm,
can know that it's only rattling that cage because it wants love.
mm,
You know, it
yeah.
wants love. And if you want peace from it, you've got to be the one to give it
Mm,
that loving attention and not judging it. And then it just, well, it dissolves, doesn't it? Because it's illusory, right? It's
yeah.
completely illusory.
Mm.
It's an imagined being.
And I think a lot of it is created through through your life as well, isn't it? Obviously, we're all come into this world with an ego, but it's kind of it creates its own armor, doesn't it? Through experiences, through negative and positive experiences, and usually we'll take like the very end spectrum of the negative experience or the positive experience to create the the mindset or the reality that it wants to exist in. So and it usually points at like being, oh, you're so stupid because you didn't manage to do this, or it will make you feel like that bit on the negative, or then it might want to make you feel so like cocksure and full of yourself because of the positive you've gone, and it's like the very extreme
Mm.
polar opposites of that, of the reality that you're in, and going through life and all the stuff that we experience, it it creates the chinks of armor that it puts around it, and it's only through the acknowledgement of it and the listening to it, of how it operates from it, almost like an external looking in at it, to see what it's actually, so what is it actually giving me, what is it actually saying, what thoughts is it creating in my mind, and then having that external, almost like viewpoint of it, makes you realize on a deeper level that you're like not it. It's like like you say, it's illusory. It's something there that's been created through, again, through programming as well, through the programming of life, I suppose, and of the mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
It's a collection of yeah, it's a collection of programs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
We used to have a budgie when I was a kid years ago, and it was, you didn't know what mood it was going to be, what mood it was going to be in, whether it would like peck the shit out of your hand or just let you stroke it. And it was like my first ever pet. So I was probably about 3-year-old, 4-year-old when we got it. And then, so when we got it, we let it out the cage to fly around the room. And it was Christmas time when I got this budgie. And we called it Tommy after my uncle, like my great uncle. Um, and it came out the cage, it flew right around the room, knocked all the decorations down. Like you used to in the 80s, well, you probably won't remember, in the 80s you used to get them streamers. So it flew around the room and it knocked all these streamers down. Bloody hell, what an impression that bird created. And for the rest of its life, it was like that. It was just so hot and cold. It was either really, really affectionate or just like, get the fuck away from me. And that just popped into my head. That's kind of like the budgie for me is like, again, seeing it in the cage. And you're like, you just daren't poke in just in case you might lose a finger end. That's for me is like an analogy of the ego at times. Just like, don't prod it, don't poke it.
Sometimes you can't, yeah. Don't prod it, don't poke it. Just gaze upon it lovingly, and
Mm.
realize that it's nothing personal.
Mm. Yeah.
It's nothing personal. It just
And it's not,
programs.
yeah, and it's nothing negative or positive. It's just there it's actually there to help us on some level, but we have to get through that shift of awareness really to do with it first, don't we? Before we can actually make it useful, like listen to what it's actually saying. Is it being rational? Is it being irrational? Which side is it coming? And again, it's using
Mm,
discernment, using that discernment ability to be able to bring that realization through.
mm. Yeah, yeah. Discernment and not judgment.
Mm.
That is the important thing. And if you can already be aware of that, like the difference, um, then wow, you're ahead of the game. It becomes a lot easier.
Mm.
Becomes a lot easier. But yeah, also like we've said, you have to be willing to actually own shit. Do you know? Say no,
Mm.
that's mine. That's
Mm.
mine. If it's happening in my awareness, you know, it's mine. Whatever
Mm.
my judgment, the mind's the ego's judgments are. They're mine to claim. They're mine to sit with or to heal. Yeah, I call that the inner path. I said like you can either some people call it that the right hand path, the ascending path, or the left hand path, the descending. I call it the inner path or the outer path. I see it as like, okay, well, okay, thought comes that's judging, just judging Ian, right? Thought mind comes with a thought. Ian says something. Oh, the Earth's a globe. You know, thought comes. It's ridiculous. How can we spin on the go? How can you? Yeah, that's my ego's like projection. And right there, as I awareness become aware of that. Okay, well, I've got two options. Project he's so stupid. How does he not know that? Da, 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 da. You know, you're in duality then. Yeah.
Mhm,
Right and wrong, right and wrong.
mhm,
Instead of, okay, actually, I'll claim that. That's part of me that I've not looked at, I've not loved, you know. If there were like a strong judgment there, there's not instantly. You're lucky. You've escaped my wrath of not believing in a flat earth. Yeah. So the reclaiming of it then is I call it the inner path, you know, the walk in the inner path. Um, or you can also see it as walking the outer path is walking the outer path is the pleasure and pain dynamic,
Mm,
you know, and the inner path is the one of peace. But
mm,
you have to sit with the emotional pain, you know.
mm,
You have to give up the sweeties of the mind, you know, the bits of chocolate and whatever. You got
mm.
to give that up for the wholesome food, the home cooked lasagna, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Tastes a bit weird at the start because you know you're not used to it. You got to do a lot of cooking, sweating, and preparing. But once you start eating that, you're not gonna want a candy bar. You
Yeah, yeah.
know, you're not gonna
Just,
want a Mars bar.
just don't let the sweat get in the lasagna. No wonder it tastes funny. I've been sweating in it.
Salty.
Oh God. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, considering we were going to talk about not knowing, I think we've done really well. Just sort of like just I think our videos are sometimes the best where we just go into it and just don't really
I
have
think so, man.
we don't really have an agenda as such. We don't have a topic. We just, hey, how you doing? Yeah, good. How's your week been? What you been thinking about? And away you go. It's like lighting the
Yeah,
taper, isn't it? It's just a whoosh, and off you go with whatever arises with no judgment. It's just like let the words go,
yeah,
let what you're feeling go as well, because it's that ability to just be able to speak um, and say what you're feeling, where you are, what's been going on internally or externally or whatever, and just yeah, just let it go. It's very, very healing. I think these chats for lots of people, especially when we do collaborations, I think they all have an element of healing internally within them anyway, because we're able to just let this stuff. You're letting your thoughts and your energy just channel and just flow, and you're able to just bring it out and let it out and talk about it. Um,
mm-mm.
really, really powerful, nice, nice
Yeah. It
energy.
is.
Yeah,
It's a real blessing, man. It's a real blessing being able to like have these conversations with yourself and yeah, have someone that can hold that frequency. Because
mm,
most people would turn on, even if they were to sit through like, you know, 50 minutes of of us like ranting about you know, inner emotions in the universe and whatnot, like
mm,
energetically, yeah, they'd switch off.
mm.
They wouldn't be able to like, yeah, hold that
Yeah.
frequency. Yeah. Yeah,
But
it's cool. It's a real blessing.
there's enough sort of low frequency stuff out there, for the majority of the people that want to stay in that, they watch the
Yeah, yeah,
news and all that sort of stuff. So we need stuff like this. And the people that have these conversations all need that as well, to just feel it and be in it. I know I don't know about you, but whenever I finish these conversations with like either yourself or Franklin or whoever else I've been chatting to, I always come away feeling good, feeling on a high.
yeah, yeah,
My ears are usually ringing, and I just think that just went really, really well. With there was no planning; it was just like whoosh, just went so smooth.
yeah. That's the way. Living in flow state, isn't it?
Yeah,
Living in
yeah,
flow state.
absolutely, yeah.
Nice.
In the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Nice
Hey, well,
one.
I best
God
let you.
bless you, man. Think,
Yeah, but it's lovely to see you again. Lovely to catch up. And I hope everybody's enjoyed the video. Whoever watches this, and we'll be back
yeah,
next week. All being well.
all, all three of you. Thanks for watching.
All
Hope you've
three.
enjoyed it.
Right, okie dokie. I'm going to stop this video here. So, toodaloo for now.
Cheers.